Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to do some testing for you to showcase a product that is manufactured specifically for roller delayed firearms like the Zenith Z5 series of firearms, which have a 16-inch version here, or the new HK MP5, or any of the clones thereof that features a tri-lug barrel attachment for a suppressor. This suppressor is the D9 Z, and it's about 6.7 inches in length. Once you actually mount it to the end of the barrel, because it overrides the barrel just a little bit, it only adds about 5.3 inches of length to the firearm. It's advertised as weighing 17 ounces, but we'll throw it on a scale and see what it actually weighs. And it is user serviceable, and it features a stainless steel monocore baffle, and it's 17.4 stainless steel. This little guy retails for $10.55. So you still have that $200 tax on top of that you're going to owe Uncle Sam, and then you're going to also have your sales tax, depending on what state you live in, added onto that. So by the time you get done adding up the cost of this, you're going to have the same amount of money invested in this silencer as you are your firearm. So how does it perform, and why does it exist? Why is it advertised as developed specifically for roller delayed firearms like the HK MP5 or the Z5 Zenith that you see here? These are available through Zenith Firearms. Well, it's claimed that it reduces back pressure, and it claims that it does that through some patented but gas redirection technology. And we'll take the can apart, show you what it looks like on the inside. But to me, it looks like a pretty conventional monocore baffle system. But we want to see how much it reduces the back pressure. If we can tell, there's no way we can scientifically measure that. We have a very still day today in terms of wind. It's less than 1 mile an hour wind. And we should be able to see how much gas stays around the shooter's face. And we'll see what we get in terms of numbers on the Brutalocaire meter, because we're going to test it with both supersonic and subsonic ammunition. So let's get this video started and find out what I want to make sure I get this right, because I don't want to call it a DB9, because that's a really affordable 9mm pistol. This is the D9 Z. All right, guys, let's load up some mags and get started. Disassembly of the D9 Z Suppressor can be accomplished with simple tools that you should already have. A 10mm hex wrench, and an AR-15 armorer's tool. The armorer's tool, if needed, can be used to grab the tri-lug into the device and twist. And then on the muzzle end, the 10mm hex wrench fits inside. I already have this loose, so I'm going to grab it by its end piece. I'm going to twist the hex wrench, and that will unscrew the baffle from the base. All right, here's where your tri-lug adapter resides inside. I'll take that out here in a moment. And then inside this sleeve is your monocore baffle. This is claimed to have some sort of proprietary flow design to reduce back pressure and allow burning powder to be diverted away from the gas flow, which then somehow lowers back pressure. I can't confirm that. The only thing I can do is shoot the gun and see how much gas is actually coming out the ejection port or getting into the shooter's face. But when shooting guns like the Z5 or SP5 and guns like that, roller lock 9mm, generally you don't get a whole lot of gas in your face like you would on an AR-15 or an MPX. So that's the monocore baffle. If you unscrew the other end, now you have the spring, and this contains your tri-lug attachment. So you can take it apart for cleaning. Put it back together, you just simply reverse the process. When you first get the can, it'll have some like lubricant or preservative inside that may smoke quite a bit when you first fire it. That'll fire out relatively quickly. And let's see, which way does this bad boy go? And snug her up here really quick. Now, if you don't have it perfectly tight, it'll just sit there and spin. So you'll want to go ahead and tighten that down. Just snug it. There's no reason to over torque it, because then it's just going to make it that much more difficult to get apart in the future. You can also put some anti-seize compound on the threads, which, if you like to service your suppressors, which isn't always that necessary really with centerfire cans, but that'll make it easier getting it apart. So that's how you take it apart and put it back together again. Let's get a baseline of what the 115 grain ball from Federal does out of the 16-inch barreled gun with no suppressor mounted. We are using a Kestrel weather station. This is the Sportsman, and what this does is it gives us an idea of what our altitude is, what the barometric pressure is, what the ambient temperature is, and things like that. So that factors into the numbers we will see today. Right now we're looking at a temperature of around 65.8 degrees, so right around 68 degrees, and we're right around 780 feet above sea level. All right, so we got our meter all set up over here. Gonna take our 5 rounds and insert it into the firearm, charge it, and go ahead and get the meter going. $151.7. I should also mention that we have the weapon 1.6 meters off the deck and the sound pressure sensor 1 meter left. 151.7. $151 flat. $151.8. $151.6. $152.3. And that should have been 5 rounds, and it was. All right, so that's our baseline. Now let's see what the decibel reduction is by putting the silencer on the end of the rifle. So now we have the suppressor mounted to the gun. We have 5 more rounds of the Federal 115 grain ball, which is supersonic ammunition. We'll go ahead and load the weapon up. And the temperature's gone up since our last string, so right now it's 70.6 degrees. $131.8. $129.5. $130.1. $128.4. And $129.9. My counting was right. That was 5 rounds, and it was. So clearly, at the muzzle, it's hearing safe. But for me, I use the CSAS specs, which is 6 inches off the shooter's right ear, to get a real idea of just how much suppression is going on, because our ears aren't out there. Our ears are right here next to the gas port, and any gas coming back down the barrel is going to exit this port, and it's going to do what we call port pop. And that's actually where it's quite loud versus the end of the gun. So let's switch things up and see what this measures at the shooter's right ear. I forgot to do the 147 grain subsonic loads before we move it over to the shooter's right ear. These are some Federal 147 grain ball rounds, and we're going to do 5 rounds of these on the meter to see what the subsonic rounds do. Now keep in mind, there will be a sonic boom even though we're in an open field, and that may play some factor in just how loud the actual report is. So we test with subsonics when subsonics are available. Let's go ahead and load the weapon up first, and we'll reset the meter. Again, we have 5 rounds loaded. And we keep running into this problem with this particular gun with the flat points, which are very much like hollow points. sometimes it just won't chamber that first round. You can see the tip of the bullet's kind of like a hollow point. Let's try it one more time. Let's switch rounds around here and see if we can get it to load. We were shooting these earlier. Only encountered that problem a couple of times. All right, so we're going to manually load this bad boy because it does not want to play. Let's get this back to where it belongs. Reset our meter. $130 flat. $131.7. Had a failure to feed. The hammer falling, by the way, was 105 decibels. $131.1. $131.5, and that was the pushed background. This is what a typical day here on the range is like for us guys. Nothing ever works right. Victory is mine. $128.7. And I'm leaving all that in there because I want you guys to see what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. This thing was running just fine with those rounds when we tested them this morning, and then every other round we fired, it seemed like, had a malfunction. All right, but we got the numbers. Now let's move it over to the shooters right here. So let's find out what the 16-inch barreled Z5 does with the Zenith suppressor attached. 115 grain ball, Federal, Supersonics. Reset our meter. $138.5. $136.7. $137.5. $138.1. $137.4. All under 140 decibels. Now let's try it again with some 147 grain ball, Subsonics. Federal. $137.3. $136.2. $138.2. $135.9. $138.1. Again, all under 140 decibels. The D9 Z is a monocore design. And on my other hand, I have a Griffin Armament Optimus. I typically keep on my MCX. And you can see they're roughly the same shape. Monocore Baffle, and then a traditional Baffle stack in the Griffin Armament can. Weapons on safe, bolts locked to the rear. Go ahead and put this can on. And let's see how a traditional baffle stacked can works in comparison to the monocore baffle of the Zenith can. All right, so we got everything all set up here. Let's wake our sound meter up. We're 1.6 meters off the deck, 1 meter left with the pressure sensor. Let's do the supersonics first. Looks like it's cooled off a little bit. Temperature's going up and down today, 65.2. Yep, 115 grain ball, Federal. Now I will say I noticed quite a bit more gas coming out on that shot, 128.8. 127.3. Again, I'm sensing more gas. We'll have to look at the video footage, but I'm sensing more gas out of this can. .9. 126.9, I think. Not 26, that'd be really good. 128 flat. And 127.9. So that's pretty darn good. Good suppression, but look at the smoke coming out of that thing. I got smoke creeping out around the trigger group over by the selector lever. So I will say that the Zenith suppressor does seem, surprisingly, to reduce the back pressure, because again, we have almost no wind today. The meter's completely still. The impeller's not working at all. So that's one good way to be able to test things. Now we're back up to 69.3 degrees. All right, so 5 rounds of subsonic Federal 147 grain. .3, very little gas from that. 126.3, okay. .8. 125.3. 124.9. I lost count, so we'll go ahead and do this. 126.9. That should have been our 5th round. And 98.1 decibels, just click, no bang. All right, so there you have it. That's pretty good suppression. Now, there's quite a bit less gas with the subsonics versus the supers, but again, it does seem like there may be a difference there. On the end, we have the traditional baffle stack, Griffin Optimus suppressor attached. Some 115 grain ball supersonics. .140.1. 139.2. 136.7. 139.8. 139.3, so right there at the cusp of 140 decibels, the supersonics. Same thing, this time with the 147 grain ball, subs. 138.7, 137.6, 138.1, 135.3, 137.2. Now I will say I'm feeling some debris and stuff coming out of the ejection port with the baffled can on there. Just kind of speckling my face a little bit. So all those were right at that 140 threshold, but definitely on the safer side. So that's pretty interesting. So we got the numbers off the Z5 carbine, which has a 16-inch barrel, but let's take a look at what kind of numbers we get off a standard MP5 length barrel, which is right around 8.5 inches. This is the new HK SP5 that was introduced last year, and it is a pistol with an SP tactical brace on it, but we have the Zenith suppressor attached. We have 5 rounds loaded of the 115 grain ball from Federal. Let's go ahead and reset our meter. Got some gas on that one, 144.2. So that was not hearing safe. $137.2, just under 140. That one was hearing safe. Perhaps burning some oxygen out of the can. $140 flat, right at that threshold. $141.3, so overhearing safe, and I'm getting a lot of gas back here in my face on the shorter barrel. $137 flat. I've lost count again. All right, 98.5 decibels on the click, no bang. So on a short barreled pistol like this, we're hovering right at hearing safe. So it significantly changes, which isn't surprising. More powder is going to burn in the barrel with the barrel being longer. With the shorter barrel, the can's taking more burning propellant coming out with the bullet, and it's going to have a harder time suppressing it. So again, not surprised. Let's try the same test with some subsonics. Again, the Federal flat-nosed 147 grain ball. Reset our sound meter. $136.4. $136.6. $137.4. $140.7. $136.9. All right, so I think we had one that went over the threshold of being hearing safe just by a little bit, but most of those were in the 130s, mid 130s to high 130s. So with subsonics, you're walking that line of being hearing safe. Definitely the 16-inch barrel will improve the suppression of the firearm. All right, guys, we have the Zenith suppressor attached to the SP5 with its 8.5-inch barrel. We have some 115 grain supersonic loads, ball rounds, loaded into the weapon. One round is already in the chamber. And let's see how the Zenith can compares to the Griffin armament. 139.7. 143.3. 140.4. 141.2. 141.5. So most of those were not hearing safe with the supersonics. We're still about 68.7 degrees out here. Let's go ahead and try 5 rounds of the subsonics, Federal 147 grain balls. Okay, reset our meter. Get the show on the road. 138.9. 138.6. 137 flat. 137.9. 137.4. So every single one of those shots was just under the hearing safe threshold of 140 decibels. Again, those were the subsonics using the Zenith can. Interesting results. This is my 8-inch barreled first generation SIG MPX, and on it, it has a tri-leg adapter on it. I have the Zenith Suppressor, and I have 30 rounds of the Federal 115 grain ball supersonic. And just generally speaking, this gun is more like an AR-15 because it has a opening where the upper and lowers meet right here by the shooter's face. And generally speaking, this will be a slightly more gassy gun than other 9mm PCCs. So let's see how it does with the Zenith Suppressor. So definitely more gas than with the MP5 type firearms. I started to feel it burning in my nose, but yeah, and my SIG sight went off again. Oh, hey, it's back. Anyway, this SIG sight's been giving me fits. Anyway, so yeah, a little bit more gas to the face coming out around the receiver back here towards the shooter's face. In today's testing, we did try to validate all the claims made by Zenith on the silencer. And in terms of accuracy, they claimed that the suppressor won't negatively affect accuracy, but it may actually improve accuracy. We didn't see any accuracy improvement in our testing. However, we did see that it didn't negatively affect accuracy or didn't degrade accuracy at all. So the only thing we can say that we did see is a slight point of impact shift, but at the distances you're talking about, typically shooting a 9mm carbine or a pistol, it wasn't anything worth mentioning, the point of impact shift. So that claim seems to be somewhat true, mostly true. The other claim that they had made about the silencer is that it has reduced back pressure, and we did see evidence of that in today's filming. We saw it just when doing mag dumps, when shooting the guns with different suppressors on there, including this one. We did see evidence that it did offer a slightly reduced back pressure of gases coming back down the barrel into the shooter's face. And we also saw that bear out on some of the meter testing that we did. In some of the testing, this produced better numbers at the shooter's ear, which is the exact same type of behavior we have seen when using true flow-through suppressors like OSS that have very, very little back pressure. This, I don't think, has that type of reduced back pressure, but again, it does point to the fact that this is slightly reducing the back pressure on the gun, which means you might get a little bit of savings back here when it comes to metering the report of the firearm, and it might equate to a little bit less gas in the face. When we were doing our mag dumps, we didn't see a drastic difference, but there was a slight difference that was detectable on today, which is a very low wind day. It tops 2-mile-an-hour wind. So the gas typically would hang around the shooter's face. The can retails for $1,055. So that makes it a very expensive option. It comes with a tri-lug mount, and feels heavy. It's a heavy feeling can. They say that it mitigates recoil. Well, yeah, it will. When you hang 17 plus ounces off the end of any barrel, you're going to mitigate recoil. I don't think that's necessarily a design feature other than just the weight of the can, but it is very expensive. So keep in mind, if you're looking for something like this, it may reduce the wear on your roller delayed firearm. That, I believe, is the intent. It's also intended to reduce recoil. Can't say I noticed that because the MP5 style firearms don't recoil much to begin with, but it wasn't drastically pushing a lot of gas back down the barrel and causing a noticeable difference in recoil. So again, it's going to boil down to personal preference, and if you want to spend $1,055 for a can that's designed specifically for roller delayed firearms. However, it will work on non-roller delayed firearms. As we showed in the video, it'll work with the SIG MPX, which uses a locking system and is gas operated, has a piston in it. So it'll work with any type of firearm you want to put it on. It's just going to require a tri-lug adapter. Guys, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel so we can continue to bring you as unbiased information as humanly possible, a great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. There is a link in the description below. Please click that link and consider becoming part of our Patreon family. Also, right here on YouTube, underneath the video player, there's a little join button. If you click that join button, check out some of the perks. You might want to consider becoming a YouTube member right here on YouTube and supporting us directly that way. And last but not least, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Guys, thanks for 12 years of support, and we'll talk to you all soon.